New and extremely potent mixes of traditional drugs are being sold in New Zealand, sparking warnings from authorities. It comes after Wellington Hospital reported seeing out-of-control patients who had taken fake LSD. Drug experts are gathering in Auckland today to discuss some of the emerging drug trends around the country. One of them is Massey University drugs researcher Dr Chris Wilkins, who joins me now. Chris, morning to you.
Yep, good morning.
Thanks for coming in. How alarming are these, they call them N-bomb, which are a range of faux LSD drugs? Yeah. How alarming is that trend?
Well, the real risk with this particular drug is it's a synthetic variant of LSD, and it's very much more, thousands of times more potent than LSD. So you're really relying on the drug dealers and the manufacturers to realise that and lower the dose. So
you can't rely on those people, can you?
Well, there's always danger there, yeah. And people are sometimes lulled into a false sense of security because they've been sold LSD, which they might be very familiar with, and they get something different.
This is the perfect storm, isn't it? Because it's easy to get it, it's cheap to get it. How do you combat something like this?
Well, it's really difficult because we're entering a new era, an online era of drug markets. So there's increasingly these crypto drug markets around. Silk Road might be something that people are familiar with, and that's really a game changer because we're cutting out all the face-to-face drug markets, and so there's a lot more pressure in terms of the types of drugs around.
All right, so essentially you want these sort of drugs, you go to an internet site, yep, and you literally just order them. It's entirely anonymous, but I suppose at some point you have to give your address because the weak link must be they do actually physically have to mail you the drugs.
That's right. So there's a lot of encryption going on in terms of the site, and you use Bitcoin, which is also decentralised. But yeah, the weak point is it still has to go through the mail, and the mail centre in New Zealand has been picking up a lot more smaller, smaller packages of drugs that seem to be obviously from these sites.
How dangerous are these drugs? I mean, how big a problem are they at the moment?
Well, I think it's going to be an emerging problem because, as I said, there's going to be the way that organic chemistry is going now is that you can produce a whole lot of synthetic variations of traditional drugs and literally dozens of different varieties. So that's really a challenge for both enforcement but also for policy, because we used to be able to outlaw a particular drug, but now we've got dozens of compounds. So that's
let's be honest here. These are illegal drugs. These are not drugs you are allowed to be taking, allowed to be ordering, allowed to be buying.
No.
And allowed to be sending to the country. It's just how do you stop it?
Yeah, well, I mean, and people should be aware of that because I think sometimes when they're online, they think, oh, I can get away with this and I'm going to be anonymous. But I think the Customs has come out and said quite clearly that if these drugs are stopped through the international postal mail, you're just as liable as when you buy it on the street.
Are these N-bomb drugs, are they killers? Potentially, are they killers?
There has been some problem. There's been a few deaths, and again, that goes back to that problem of how much more potent it is.
How much you're taking.
Yeah, so a lot of them have been overdoses, and also people expecting LSD, say at a festival, and then ending up with this very potent, different kind of drug.
Okay. Chris, just very quickly, if we go back 10 years, probably more than that, 15 years, we were apoplectic with concern over methamphetamine, the burgeoning methamphetamine problem in New Zealand. Where are we at with that now?
Well, we're pretty stable. Methamphetamine hasn't gone away, but the real site where it's been emerging recently is there's been a little bit of a spike in use as Christchurch in particular, and there's all the variables are saying that there's an increased use of methamphetamine in Christchurch and some other drugs as well.
Okay, that's alarming, isn't it? Chris, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck for the conference today.